A couple of years back, I reviewed the original Razer Viper lightweight gaming mouse. Between that, we actually got a couple of different versions, and now we have the latest V2 Pro, which is also actually wireless, which is, of course, just always so handy. So I love that. Now, the V2 Pro has been out for a bit now, but I thought because my Logitech G305 is giving some issues and some of the buttons isn't working properly anymore, I thought it's time to actually upgrade and possibly replace it with the V2 Pro, and it might just be the one to get. Now, pricing wise, the V2 is not the cheapest at $140 or 3,600 Rand for here in South Africa, so it is a bit of a bump in price compared to the G305, but it is a lot newer and it has all of the new bells and whistles and everything, which we'll go over, so it's to be expected. Now, also quickly inside the box, along with the mouse, you do get your USB Type-C to Type-A charging cable, your wireless dongle, the wireless dongle extender, and then finally you do also get some extra grip tape for the main buttons, and then also for your on the side if you need to add some additional grip, because again, this thing is so light. Now, for the V2, it does have a matte surface that provides a good grip and also resistant to fingerprints, having a bit more of a rough finish to it. Overall, the material used is top notch, and even though the mouse is extremely light, it doesn't feel cheap at all. Now, when shaking the mouse, you can't hear any loose or rattling parts. It's extremely silent. Sometimes you can hear the switches actually rattling. That's not the case here. As well as if you do apply pressure on the mouse, sometimes the body can bend slightly. That's not the case here as well. So even though it's lightweight, the material is lightweight and everything, Razer hasn't compromised on the durability of the mouse. Now, the Viper V2 does have an ambidextrous shape for both left and right-handed users. But now, unlike the original, you only have buttons on the left side now. Now, additionally, the side buttons are no longer recessed and instead stick out slightly, but it just makes it easier to actually feel where the buttons are. The side buttons do need a slight bit of force to activate, but they do not accidentally click when the mouse is slammed down or if you just slide your finger over them. Now, as for weight, the V2 Pro is extremely light at only 58 grams and is 17 grams lighter than the previous Viper Ultimate in black. It is also lighter than the Logitech G Pro X Superlight, so that's saying something, and it's also just over half as light as my G305. And comparing them just in my hand, the G305 feels like a rock compared to the Viper V2 Pro. Now, to be extremely critical here, because I know some people for the price point is going to be, the primary buttons does have some pre and post travel. However, I honestly never noticed that, so I don't think it's going to be an issue, but it's just worth mentioning, again, at $140. But honestly, that wasn't really a problem for me. They still feel extremely firm and responsive, and that's all thanks to Razer's new optical Gen 3 switches. So now, in terms of shape, the V2 Pro has a fairly conservative yet elegant design. It does lack any aggressive curves and has a relatively low profile. The rear of the mouse is slightly widened while the front stays fairly slim and only slightly flares out from the middle. The hump in the center and the side curves inwards horizontally around the grip area, but remains mostly straight vertically. The grooves didn't cause any discomfort while using it and just gives a bit more character towards the mouse instead of having an entirely smooth surface overall. Now, in terms of grip styles, it is mostly suited for claw or fingertip style grips, but for a hybrid claw palm style grip, it still worked very well with the palm section just being large enough where it doesn't cause any discomfort and still have enough grip for the mouse as well. With it being more of a medium sized mouse, it will suit majority of hands. I currently have more of also a medium sized hand, medium to smaller, and it fits perfectly for me. If you do have extremely large hands, it might be a bit small for you, where the DeathAdder could possibly be a better option then. Then for the scroll wheel, you do have your rubberized stud grips, which actually does a very good job, and also it's smooth with tactile steps and a nice responsive middle click as well. Now, the bottom of the mouse has a single button that's either for power or to cycle through the DPI levels. Also, for the DPI levels, each one does have a signature color to it, so it'll be able to know on which level you're on. But also, if you do have the software, it'll show up with a pop-up box showing on which DPI level you're on. Also, underneath the mouse is the non-dyed PTFE feet that has slighted rounded edges, providing a good grip. It just slides seamlessly over your mouse pad. I just need a bit of a smoother mouse pad, really. This is just for show. As for performance, the V2 Pro is equipped with the Focus Pro 30K, which is a customized Pixar PAW3950 sensor, which offers a maximum tracking speed of 750 inches per second and a maximum CPI of 30,000. In testing, the V2 Pro was absolutely great, both for gaming and just for normal use. I did a bunch of my videos using it as well. I didn't feel any latency or mess-ups at all with the wireless connectivity. The V2 Pro is extremely smooth all around thanks to that extremely accurate sensor, the glide pads are being smooth as well, and of course with it just being so crazy light. A couple of years back, I never actually thought that we would get wireless gaming mice that would be this light, but I mean, here we are. So I'm definitely never going to say never happening ever again. So it's just really cool to see how the technology has progressed so far. Now sure, for it being so light and high performance, you are paying for that, but honestly, if money is not an issue for you, you can't really go wrong with the V2 Pro. Honestly, it's just going to depend up to the shape of the mouse instead of the performance really for your hand. So this works for me. If you have, again, a larger hand, then that's going to be more of the Basilisk, or maybe the DeathAdder is going to be a better option for you. The V2 Pro also boasts an impressive battery life with a maximum usage time of up to 80 hours at 1000 Hz polling rate with its 300 mAh built-in battery. Inside the software, you do have a reliable and accurate battery indicator showing the remaining battery life in single-digit percentages. Based on my experience, the actual battery life may be closer to 100 hours for regular use, as the indicator decreased by 5% for every 5 hours of use. When you're not using the mouse, it'll automatically go in a sleep state, which can just wake it up by moving it. And then you can also, of course, set the how quickly it goes to sleep in the software, so you do have all of those options. Now, speaking of the software, in the Customize tab, you can remap the buttons on the mouse and use the Hyper Shift function to access a second set of buttons to remap. The Performance tab allows you to adjust the CPI levels, with it ranging between 100 to 30,000 in increments of 50. Now, the Calibration tab lets you adjust the lift-off distance and also the asymmetric cut-off settings. So then finally, in conclusion, as an average gamer myself, but who has reviewed plenty of mice in my days, the Razer V2 Pro has hit kind of all of the marks for me personally. It's extremely lightweight, has a more minimal design to it, making it comfortable to use for long periods at a time. Editing videos and all of that can super get tiring, and also has an impressive battery life that can last for almost a week on casual use without needing to charge it. However, the only downside is, of course, it is pricey at $140, which may make it a barrier for some gamers. If you are looking for a more budget-friendly option, the Viper Ultimate or the Basilisk Ultimate is always an option for below $100. But overall, if you can justify the price tag of the Viper V2 Pro, it's definitely a contender for a top on your list for your next mouse. But now that's pretty much it for my look at the Viper V2 Pro. A big shout out to Apex Interactive and Razer for sending the mouse over for review. If you guys want to get it for yourself, I will leave links in the video description. And also, if you like this review, please like, share, subscribe, and comment like always. I'll check all of you guys next time. Cheers, guys. All right, so I can finally put on the fan. I'm sweating like crazy. Hopefully that doesn't show up on the camera. Whew.